Doomfist is the most dominant hero in all of Overwatch right now. Even after the huge nerfs he received, Doomfist is still the hardest carry DPS in the whole game. Putting time and effort into mastering Doomfist can be worth hundreds or even thousands of SR. Do yourself a favor and watch this video so that you can become a hard carry Doomfist and dominate your ranked matches. Do you want in-depth guides telling you everything you need to know to improve? Then come give our website a shot. GameLeap.com has hundreds of guides over every character in the game to ensure that you're prepared for any meta. Every single guide is made by Grandmaster players, so you get the absolute best tips and strategies out there, all in the same spot. So what are you waiting for? Come check us out in the links down below. Doomfist is an extremely unique character on the roster. His damage is predominantly melee based, and unlike his role implies, his actual damage per second is vastly lower than the majority of characters in the game. This is simply because Doomfist does nearly zero poke damage. Doomfist won't be getting gold damage, nor will he be breaking any shields. Regardless, Doomfist has some of the highest burst damage in the game, which is one of his true strengths. Let's really break down why Doomfist is so strong so that you really understand exactly what you need to be utilizing about Doomfist to pop off and hard carry your games. Doomfist's strength primarily comes from three main factors, so let's break them down to understand his strengths and weaknesses. Firstly, Doomfist has really high mobility. In fact, he has some of the best mobility in the whole game. This allows him to move around fluidly through the battlefield. He can weave in and out of combat with a kit built around enabling that same mobility. This overcomes his melee weakness and allows him to get to exactly where he needs to be to get a pick and get out from danger. Secondly, his burst damage. Doomfist can not only one-shot every DPS and support in the game, but he can nearly one-shot even the tanks in the game as well. He can straight up bully almost every single character, and he can get a pick so fast, it's impossible to out-heal that level of burst damage, just how quickly he can get the kill. Finally, Doomfist is one of the few DPS in the game that doesn't care at all about shields. With the rise of double shield and shield characters in the game, many DPSs feel helpless in the face of double shields. However, Doomfist, due to his close range abilities, he not only thrives against double shield, but he can single-handedly dominate a whole game even with tons of shields all around him. Let's move on to exactly what you need to be thinking about while playing Doomfist so that you don't feed your games and honestly become a liability for your team. As Doomfist, you want to utilize these strengths to secure picks and win teamfights convincingly. Doomfist can easily get picks solo, making him an insanely hard carry DPS. What makes matters worse for the enemy is because of the shield health that Doomfist gains, it makes it really hard for them to focus him, and he can sustain without the help from his teammates. The momentum gains on Doomfist can easily snowball into a whole team kill if played correctly. It requires constant focus fire by the enemy team to disrupt an enemy Doomfist, and if you can get a pick off on a threat character such as an enemy McCree, you're far less likely to get punished for all-inning the rest of the enemy team. When engaging as Doomfist, the biggest mistake players make from every rank is they don't actually save abilities for the disengage. This may seem obvious, but way too many Doomfists actually all in when they should instead just use their abilities to reposition if they didn't get a pick with their first engage. You really need to learn the Doomfist cycle. Let me explain exactly what that is so that you know exactly how pro players play Doomfist. First is the setup. You need to set yourself up in proper positioning, either on the high ground or a position to engage the enemy. Then the engagement step. There are two separate types of engagement. The first type is dropping from the high ground onto the enemy team and punching someone into a wall or a surface. The second type of engagement is engaging with your seismic slam into an uppercut, followed by left clicks into the enemy. The purpose of the engagement step is to secure a kill. However, this is something really important to keep in mind. Not every engagement will actually secure you a kill, and that's okay. What's important is the next few steps, so listen up. Next up is the disengagement section of the cycle. Now, depending on the type of engagement you did, you're going to use your remaining abilities to retreat to safety. This can either be an uppercut seismic slam onto the high ground if you used a punch to engage, or a glide punch back to your team after your uppercut if you use seismic slam to engage. After this, you can regain your cooldowns, get in position again to engage onto the enemy, and repeat the whole cycle all over again. This gives Doomfist the ultimate survivability because there's a small window where he can actually get punished while still allowing him to try to get a pick every single cycle. If you repeat the cycle over and over again, it can hypothetically get you a pick every time, easily securing whole team fights. The important thing that you need to understand is don't throw your life away on Doomfist, as Doomfist can turn seemingly lost fights into one as long as you keep repeating the cycle and don't all in and get killed. Many Doomfists will all in, secure one kill, and then die. This style makes it hard to carry because you actually leave your team in a 5v5 scenario where you could have potentially carried much harder if you actually stayed alive and repeated the cycle, getting 2, 3, or more kills. Now you might be asking, when can you all in and use all your abilities to try to get immense value? There are really 3 big scenarios in which you actually can use all your abilities on Doomfist. The first and most obvious one is when you have your ultimate. You can engage the enemy with every ability and use your ultimate not only as an additional source of damage, but a way to fade damage and abilities from the enemy and regain your abilities off cooldown. From there, you can choose to re-engage or disengage based on information like enemy health, enemy cooldowns, and their overall resources. You don't always have to re-engage with ultimate. In fact, sometimes it's better to just retreat. Doomfist's ultimate can often be used to just save yourself. Remember that your life is often more valuable than trying to force impact from your ultimate. The second reason is if you successfully killed an enemy upon your first engage and you have an opportunity to secure a second pick. Getting a second pick can definitively win you a team fight if you can get away with it. You have a very brief moment to evaluate whether or not you can actually secure this pick. You need to identify just how many enemies could focus you and value risk versus reward. Often simply retreating even after you got a single pick is the correct play because you can always re-engage when you have all your cooldowns again as long as you live, so unless it's a big opportunity, I would be wary of this reason. Lastly, you could go all in if your team is also hard engaging with you. That way, the pressure you provide can be benefited by your team, and the pressure and support provided by your team can actually help you secure kills. Just make sure you evaluate the enemy picks that can actually threaten you. CC in particular is dangerous for Doom, and you want to try and match the same aggression as your team. This works best if the enemy uses key cooldowns on your teammates, then they don't have any to stop you. Now let's break down the top 5 biggest tips and mistakes on Doomfist so that you can ignore counterplay and pop off in your ranked matches. Kicking it off with number 1, try to be unpredictable, especially after your first 2 engages on Doom. If you secure a few team fights with picks as Doomfist, the whole enemy team will be mega mad and yell at their team to shut you down. Their whole playstyle and positioning will play directly around you. Try and become unpredictable. One of Doomfist's strongest play patterns is his ability to one-shot the enemy before they can react. Remember that you can always choose to disengage any time an engagement looks like it will end up in death. Don't engage on enemies that are actively watching you or looking at you because that's the easiest way to get punished. Essentially, don't autopilot every single engage. Moving along to number 2, try and pay attention to enemy counterpicks and abilities. CC like hook and stun can completely shut you down, but you can also play around them. Try and listen for problematic cooldowns to be used and engage when the enemy don't have them. You can also ask your team to call out cooldowns that are used or wait till mid-fight where the enemy team have already used them. Especially in lower ranks, players often waste their abilities far too quickly and don't play slow enough. This is extremely apparent if you watch any low rank Anas. They will often throw out their sleep dart way too early and they won't have it if you engage them later in the mid fight. As Doomfist, don't feel crazy pressured to get a pick as fast as possible, and instead, try slow and methodical engagements onto the enemy team. Moving along to number 3, try to combo your abilities with other players on your team, or even duo with synergistic characters. Doomfist can benefit from all sorts of mini combos. On Orisa pull into punch is a free way to get kills and tons of shield health. Zarya bubble on Doom sometimes feels uncounterable by the enemy because it stops tons of CC, like McCree flash or hook. And there are many ultimates that Doomfist can utilize, like Nano or any CC ult. Doomfist's burst damage and ability to close out a fight so quickly make extra resources in him multiply his lethality immensely. He can extract more impact from resources like this more than just about any other hero in the game. Moving along to number 4, don't be afraid to wait around or use natural cover while you're waiting for your abilities to come off cooldown. Some of the best Doomfists in the world retreat to one natural cover after another. If Doomfist goes behind natural cover or in close corridors, it's often dangerous for anyone to chase him because he can easily flip the script on a duel so fast. Be ready to punish pursuers that don't respect your lethality if they chase you close corridor, or simply use the threat of your one-shot ability to ward off pursuers to get a refresh on your cooldowns so that you can re-engage later. Moving on to the last tip, number 5. Let's talk about rollouts on Doomfist. Rollouts are unique and special to Doomfist in particular, and definitely can give you some free picks and value. That being said, they are often big liabilities for you because if predicted or messed up on a rollout, you can easily get killed and get 0 value and end up throwing a team fight. On top of that, the multitude of rollouts are impossible to fully learn, so don't feel pressured to learn them. Most of the best Doomfists in the world rarely use rollouts, if ever. If you want to throw a few rollouts here and there, go for it. However, try to use them just once a match and always be careful. They are definitely fun to do, but they don't guarantee any consistency, which is always the one true way to climb on any character. Anyways, that's all I have for you on how to master Doomfist so you can become that hard carry DPS that can even carry DPSing Moras. All jokes aside, I hope this guide has been helpful for you. Any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time. Do you want to develop yourself as a player whose skill is not only adaptable but transcends multiple metas? Don't worry, we got you covered. GameLeap.com is the only place where you'll find skills that work you from the ground up so that you can have the solid fundamental that can transition through any meta that you can come across. Not only that, but we have hundreds of videos that stem from in-depth guides to tips and tricks that can help you be prepared to dominate your ranked environment and get that sweet SR. We're so confident that our product will help you that we offer a 10-day money-back guarantee. Come check us out risk-free in the links down below.